We have already the first speaker on the podium, Artemis Yagou of the Research Institute for Historic Science and Technology of the Deutsches Museum. And he will talk about how important it is to give open access to the data for the museums. And I don't lose much more time. Thank you, Artemis, for coming, and the stage is yours.
Good morning to all. Thank you very much to the organizers of this event for giving me the chance to present here for the first time at SFSCon. I'm not a digital expert. I'm a historian of design and technology, currently an associate, a research associate at the Research Institute of the Deutsches Museum in Munich. You can see it on the slide. It is one of the largest museums of science and technology in the world. And in the background of the picture, you can just see the Alps, and just behind the Alps, you see Bolzano, where we are sitting now. So I will present my view of some of the issues facing museums today as far as the digital transformation is concerned. So the digital transformation is a tough matter. What does it mean? Above all, it means the digitization of the object collections, the objects that are kept in a museum, as well as the various archives that are kept in a museum, and other activities, the digitization of these activities and making content accessible online. This is a huge task, and there are many opportunities and challenges. I would say that museums are, by definition, conservative organizations, traditional organizations. That their task is, after all, to preserve, to conserve objects, to preserve the past. So the digital transformation constitutes a great, a steep learning curve with opportunities and challenges. Talking about opportunities, I would say that, of course, first of all, there is improved accessibility of collections when they are digitized. This accessibility refers to both internal people of the museum, like curators, administration, researchers, and so on, but also, of course, externally, the public, the museum public, that gets to see objects in a different way, even without visiting the museum, or even objects that may be stored in a storeroom and not being visible publicly, not being exhibited. So digitization offers this really improved accessibility to a broad range of stakeholders. Secondly, of course, there is increased efficiency in administration, exhibitions, and research, thanks to this availability of digitized collections and other data. And of course, in a more general sense, we have a broader knowledge transfer across the board. Talking about challenges, where do I start from? I just point out three main issues that I consider very important. Of course, it's data management. Even the smallest museum in the world has thousands of objects, and this means a huge amount of data. Managing this data is really a huge task. Secondly, keeping up with technology. Technology changes very fast. It changes faster and faster. And for example, I know from my colleagues who set up exhibitions, the curators, I know that while they prepare an exhibition, it's already very tough to keep up with the technology. The technology changes in real time, and a permanent exhibition, a temporary exhibition can take months to be set up, and a permanent exhibition can take years. So in this time frame, the technology has already changed several times. This is a huge challenge for the staff of the museum. Also, another challenge is the integration into the museum's overall strategy, because any museum, whether small or large, has many aims, many audiences. It's an organization with multiple tasks and issues that concern funding, communication, management, and all other issues. So how to fit everything together into an integrated strategy? How does digitization can fit in this overall strategy of the organization without causing any problems? So I will give some more specific, more concrete examples that I am familiar with. For example, in the Deutsches Museum, what we call Deutsches Museum Digital is an initiative, our main initiative about digitizing objects and collections. And I think that this slide is already out of date because every single day my colleagues keep digitizing more objects from the collections, more books from the library, and so on. So this is an ongoing process, and I will give some links later on that you can have a look at, some internet links. And I will also give some examples of various applications that are being implemented at the moment. For example, here we have a Roman man with axe. This is a diorama figure. A diorama is a 3D model representing a landscape or an event. It's sort of a model that is like a box or maybe a big box. So these are tools used in the museum to show to visitors to make more lively some scenes or objects or landscapes. And this is a Roman man from a specific diorama from the museum. Typically, if you think that the diorama is like a box, this man would be a very tiny figure. So a digitization of the Roman man gives us the opportunity to see him from much closer and also to move him, to look at his clothes, to look at the tools, and be able to have a more detailed, a better view of this figure and to understand it better. Again, I'm not showing a video, a moving image of this figure because I will give some links later on where you can go and have a look for yourselves. So these various applications that are happening at the moment in the museum, they use various open source tools. My colleagues use tools like Babylon JS Viewer, the Smithsonian Voyager Explorer, or the Google Model Viewer, open tools which enable them to create these applications. Another example is this astrolabe from the late 16th century. An astrolabe is an instrument used to make astronomical measurements like latitude or longitude. And of course, it's a rare historical object. It's not easy to examine it. You cannot handle it. It can be exhibited or it can be in the storeroom of the museum. So a digital application is very useful because it allows us to turn the object around, to have a look at the details, and really feel as if we have it in our hands. This is obviously a great advantage for rare objects that cannot be touched, but only by experts. Another similar example is the next one. This is an automaton, basically a mechanical robot, again from the 16th century, a very rare object. Which is an automaton in the form of a monk. And this monk can move a little bit, move his hands, move his legs. And this is a very innovative object for the 16th century, obviously. And only a few pieces similar to this one exist in the world. We have one of those, this monk. And with the 3D video application, we can obviously avoid the damage of touching the object. Then we can see how the monk can move, how he turns his hands, and so on. So this is an example of the applications my colleagues are working on. Another example of what we do is has to do with Bavaricon, which is an internet portal where the various treasures of Bavaria are presented, mostly art and cultural treasures. And the Deutsches Museum has a collaboration with this portal, and we have made available our collection of our scientific instruments. Some of them are presented in this internet portal. For example, here we have a portable sundial, again from the 16th century, a rare object. And through this portal, people can access this rare collection of scientific instruments freely and can discover for themselves the meaning of these objects. More generally, in the museum, we have an open science policy. So we are strongly encouraging open content in any sense, implementing transparency throughout the museum in all the activities, including methods, tools, infrastructures, research results, and publications. I will give 2 examples of publications because they are my own publications and I know them better. Here is a small book I published in 2013, and it's about a glass toy. Really, it is a glass toy made of small pieces of colored glass. It was designed in the 1920s by the architect Bruno Taut, and we have one of the very few pieces that exist in the world. I think there are only 10 pieces that I know of in the world at the moment in the museums and private collections. So this is a very rare object. I have studied this object extensively, and I wrote this small publication, which is open access, available on the museum's website. It can be downloaded. Another example is this volume, a small edited volume that I published in 2022, which explores the connection between technology, novelty, and luxury. So in my main argument in this volume is that technology is a significant component of luxury. If you think about objects of luxury, they are almost always high-tech products like cars, yachts, diamonds, and so on. And this is a volume I did with other colleagues, and it's also open access, can be freely downloaded from the website of the Deutsches Museum. So more generally, key issues for the future in the museum sector. I would say that the access and management of resources, whether they are human, material, and so on. Of course, funding is a major issue that has to be resolved. Secondly, I think there is a need for a long-term, consistent digital strategy. At the moment, I see in the museum sector quite a lot of fragmentation. So there are lots of isolated initiatives, and I think one has to think of a long-term strategy to see how to integrate all the isolated initiatives, the fragmented efforts, because a lot of effort is taking place, but one has to really think about the consolidation of these efforts within a broader digital strategy. And last but not least, I would say that one has to step out of one's comfort zone. As I mentioned earlier, museums are by definition traditional and conservative, and I think it's a steep learning curve, of course, for museums to move into the digital transformation mindset, but this is something that has to be done, and one has to really step out of the comfort zone. Individuals, but also organizations have to think about this and make the necessary moves. So here are a couple of links that you might explore. It's the Deutsches Museum website and the specific link to the digital initiative, what I mentioned before, Deutsches Museum Digital. I would be happy to answer any comments and questions if there is time. Otherwise, we can do that during the coffee breaks. Thank you very much for your attention.